So today's webinar speaker is Garrett Sheets. Garrett is a communications professional. He's a certified master coach. He has his MBA from the University of Indianapolis, and he is also a SCORE mentor. So we're going to limit this to 1 hour. We will be done at 1 o'clock. It's a little bit narrower topic than usual, so I'm thinking we could go a little bit deeper, and we do have both the opportunity to use the Q&A and chat box. So I am going to let Garrett take it over, and I'll watch the flow of questions coming in. Okay, Garrett.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill, for that introduction. Again, today's talk is Instagram marketing for small business. Thank you so much for everyone being here. I know it's kind of like a lunchtime webinar. I appreciate the privilege of being able to share my experiences with Instagram as it applies to small business and marketing strategy in that space. Also to SCORE, thank you for your trust in allowing me to run a webinar. This is actually my first one. So I guess I'm asking for kind of this, en masse permission slip to be imperfect. First, just some housekeeping items for the webinar. As Bill pointed out, there is a chat box feature where you can input questions. I will go over them, during this time at the end. I know it's an hour today. I will try my best to be conscious of time. I would like to have, 10 or 15 minutes just to kind of go through and, support you in that way, taking your questions and answering. At the end of the webinar, these slides will be distributed to all attendees. Additionally, I would also like, I'd like to have maybe a document sent out with all the questions that were asked, in addition to my answers to them. This includes things that maybe I might be asked and don't know the answer to right now and will need to go back to, or it can find a resource to best answer those questions. Without further ado, let's get started. So I know this isn't about me, but I do think it is good to kind of give a brief overview of who I am and just make an attempt to connect with the viewers. As Bill said, my name's Garrett Sheets. I'm from Indianapolis, born and raised. I have a Bachelor of Science degree from University of Indianapolis, UIndy, where I studied biology and chemistry. I was a science person. I thought I wanted to do research in a lab, and I did for a while. But I realized that I kind of missed that people connection that I get, particularly through business around a laboratory rather than in it, which led me to pursue my MBA from UIndy as well. It was an amazing experience, and that is where I fell in love with marketing and the process of kind of really reaching someone where they live in terms of, really getting to know them as a consumer and formulating a strategy that reaches them in a particular way, to promote a product or a service. I just thought it was amazing, which led me to pursue a professional certified marketer certification through the American Marketing Association. Fabulous organization, a lot of fun. I'm also a certified master coach. Like so many others, during the pandemic, I had a chance to tap into, what I really love to do, and that is connecting with people and helping them solve issues related to business and starting a business and managing all of those things that go along with that. So I got a certified master coach certification and then recently finished up my master coach work. So very rewarding and very applicable to SCORE as well. I do try to employ a coaching mindset in all of my interactions, and I've been working with SCORE since, it's been a year now, since November of 2019. So it's a lot of fun. It gives me a chance to do stuff like this. So that's me. Let's get into the nitty-gritty here. So presentation journey. What I like to do when I give a presentation is kind of give you a roadmap of what we're going to talk about during the whole talk. And this kind of does two things. One, it keeps me on track because that's kind of a full-time task. And it also allows you, the viewers, to kind of see the big picture and to maybe realize gaps in your knowledge or opportunities for learning as we progress in the conversation. So as I go through these, be thinking about where you are, wherever that may be, in your process of using Instagram, or maybe you have an Instagram and you're wanting to kind of dig deeper and answering more questions, or just wherever you are. So first, we're going to talk about Instagram as an overview. We're going to go into some statistics, purposes, the value of Instagram, and we're also going to look at some examples of how Instagram is used for various companies. Secondly, who benefits from Instagram? This is kind of a trick question. In my opinion, everyone benefits from Instagram, but we're going to explore target audiences, maybe what industries use Instagram, mostly to their benefit, and really tap into, where you're reaching people when you employ an Instagram strategy. Three, getting started. If you don't have an Instagram page or you're interested in the idea, how do you start out? We'll talk about that. Four, this is really the meat and potatoes of the talk, and where I see enormous value in Instagram: engagement and brand awareness. How are you interacting with your followers? How are you stimulating conversation? And how are you putting yourself out there? And how, what does your image look like to the world? Five, as with any marketing strategy, how are you measuring success? And I will go, into detail about what success means for you and how that is different for every business owner and individual. And then six, I'm going to do an overview of how Instagram fits into an overall social media promotion strategy. So one of the questions that I got before the talk, someone was asking about, how does this relate to Facebook marketing or LinkedIn marketing, or how can these all work together? And the best way that I can kind of touch on that topic is to give an example from my own experience, and how I had to balance all of these, different platforms and how they were kind of tailored for different audiences. So we will go there. Okay. Oh, and then discussion and close, of course, at the end. So Instagram, an overview. So I will read the definition here: free online photo sharing application and social network platform that allows users to edit and upload engaging visual content. Now, a question that I will put out there, what does engaging content mean? And in my humble opinion, it means stuff that will hold my attention, and it's going to influence my buying behavior. One of the kind of a common thing in Instagram is the concept of an influencer. So this is a person who posts really, really nice photos of products or services, or just themselves kind of promoting a certain lifestyle. So this is the intention of that, is to influence people on Instagram to, make a buying decision, or to get started and get involved in a discussion around a certain topic by using hashtags. We'll talk about that here soon. Or any way that's going to get someone's attention and to promote them, or promote action in some way. So some stats. In 2020, a whopping 80% of businesses were on Instagram, and I believe this was in the United States. That's huge. I mean, for businesses to avail themselves of the opportunity to be on Instagram and to use those tools to promote whatever it is that they offer, 80% is a big number. So, I mean, I think that's it speaks to the need that if you're not on Instagram, that's something that you should probably explore. And then a 2021 projection, 117.2 million users, were on Instagram in the US, or will be on Instagram in the US. It's a projection. Again, enormous user base. This was interesting, something that I found, I believe this was put out by Hootsuite. It's a paradigm shift. So a lot of people, I get asked, between Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, what is the most common, or what are people on these days, is mostly what I get asked. And I usually say it's Instagram. So, the average engagement rate on Instagram is 2.26% versus Facebook's 0.21%, and then Twitter's 0.02%. So as you can see, people are moving away from, Facebook and Twitter and kind of more into Instagram's offering. So I thought that was interesting to share. So here we're going to go into some examples. So basically, I'm going to discuss, what's done well in these profiles. And it also gives you a chance, if you're not familiar with Instagram, gives you a chance to see what it looks like. So for this first one, Rifle Paper Company. So they have a good, profile pic. You can see that they've labeled themselves as a product and service. That is a feature of having a business account. You're able to do that. They say that they're a stationery and lifestyle brand, studio updates and behind the scenes. They also include a link to their shops, so they sell products. That's in their bio. They put their location, Winter Park, Florida, and you have the chance to follow them or message or email. So that's a lot of information just in their bio. And as you can see, they post pictures of their offerings in very attractive ways. You can see they have kind of like a floral theme that they stick with. Anthropology, I think some of you know, this is a clothing brand. They also have a home store, but for this page, it's just their clothing. They put their statement, apparel, home, and beauty. Shop our feed. Click the link, find your item, and add to bag. So as you can see in this, they've enabled the commerce feature with the business account, and you can see those little shopping bags on different icons or different posts that you're able to shop directly from their store. And that's just a really cool feature. They also have a custom hashtag, as you can see, hashtag #myAnthropology. I'll talk about that later. That is a form of getting your followers to engage with you and your product and service, and essentially your offering, and start a conversation. West Elm, UK. I thought this was good too. It's kind of in the same line of, products and same aesthetic, I guess. So we're looking at home decor here, same sort of thing. They express their style through modern design. Share your style with hashtag #MyWestElm. So that is an opportunity to engage with followers, to post pictures of, if they do a room in all West Elm, they can post that on their personal page and say, oh, this is West Elm products, which is then put into this big discussion pool of everyone posting, their West Elm. So that's just a little, well, it's actually that's a lot of information. And I realize that's a lot of info, but I wanted to kind of do an umbrella shot of 3 good posts to give you a taste of, what Instagram can do for a small business. So getting started, like I said before, be sure you're using a business account. One mistake that I notice with some businesses, or I shouldn't say mistake. It's not a mistake at all. It could be better. One thing I see is not using that business account. The business account it offers you more comprehensive features, including analytics and commerce features. So as we saw in those examples with, those little shopping bags on each icon, that is not available with a personal Instagram account, which, someone just starting out, that, it wouldn't occur to do that right away, and that's okay. Secondly, know what you want and be intentional. Um, this is, and I realize this is kind of, kind of broad to say, but I think checking in with yourself as a business owner, um, and asking yourself questions. It's, what am I trying to do? Do I want more sales? Or am I wanting to increase my brand awareness? Like, for instance, if you want more sales, you're probably going to want to take advantage of the shopping feature through through an Instagram business account, and focus on selling, pushing your product. However, if you're focused on brand awareness, you're going to really benefit from engagement strategies and campaigns to get your name and your message out there. So knowing what you want, asking that right at the beginning, that is going to inform all of your decisions moving forward. So I think it's important to have that self-awareness before you start any sort of strategy with Instagram, or really, for that matter, any sort of business strategy. Create a unique username. So I included this. I know some people are probably like, well, yeah, of course. But I include this because if someone asks what your handle is, that's your username. And I apologize if people know that, but it was someone asked me, what's a handle one day? And I said, that's not, I feel like I didn't know that right away. So I thought that was good to include. So your username on Instagram is a handle. Okay, forgive me here. Oh, this is another example. So I included this example because this Inside Vancouver tourism, it really made use of everything that you can put in your bio. So this is looking right at their Instagram page. They have a great profile pic. And as you can see, that little pink and purple circle implies that they have a story, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Inside Vancouver, official tourism Vancouver account, tag Inside Vancouver or hashtag Very Vancouver to give permission to repost. So this is an attempt to engage. So because they're a tourism company, it makes sense that they would want people to tag them in their photos, or to start a conversation with a hashtag for them to then take this photo and promote it on their page. I just thought it was very clever. It was a good use of engagement there, particularly with an industry such as tourism and hospitality. I thought that was very smart. They also include link in bio. They have their website embedded in their bio, and they also have, obviously, Vancouver, British Columbia, where they're located. So I thought that was neat. So target audience and industries. Like I said earlier, now we're getting into, who is Instagram for? And as I said at the beginning, Instagram's for anyone who is wanting to, take their business and put it out there and build an awareness of their brand or their image or their offering. And I think it's kind of a trick question. I think a lot of hardcore marketers, I think, would tell you, oh, Instagram is for marketing, like I say, retail, restaurants, entertainment, fashion, artistry. That all is very true. These are all industries that are highly visual. The potential of generating engaging, gorgeous content to put out there in those industries is very high. But one thing that people maybe don't think about is that the potential is still there for example, in professional services. I think, a major retail brand can have, as much allure as, professionals, like a doctor's office, or, a, maybe like a psychologist or a therapist, that I actually have an example of that we'll look at later. Um, I just think that, if you're using the content in the right way, in the appropriate way, you can be just as engaging as any other brand. So demographics, who is, this again answers who's Instagram for. Ages 18 to 29 is the number. The largest market is in the United States, and it's mostly urban. So, city young people, that's what I say. Everyone who's walking around on their phone, they're probably on Instagram. Um, I mean, I know I am usually. It's just something that's been kind of ingrained in me. Um, However, those are just numbers. I think it's important, as a business owner, you need to define what this means for you and your content. This is who Instagram has statistically been shown to, target, and this is what data shows, but don't let that dissuade you from, if you have an audience in mind for your offering, and it's not in this, it's not in this particular group, obviously that shouldn't make you, not want to pursue really great, engaging Instagram strategies. Um, yes, Instagram has the potential to work for any type of business, big or small, with an endless variety of offerings. I wanted to make sure I said that. Very true. Okay, this is my favorite topic, engagement. So, how do you engage, right? So, give people a reason to engage with your content. What are ways to do this? So this is actually right off of my Instagram. I follow Cafe Patachu in Indianapolis, and they posted this gorgeous picture of their food. And as you can see, they say, "Have you tried our new menu items? What's your fave?" So they're asking their followers to go, "Hey, in the times that you have visited us, what's your favorite thing that you've gotten?" And then you start a conversation. Um, in the comments, or you message them, or you like it. And they give, their locations are open 8 to 3. And then order online, call, or order in person. Obviously during, this time with the pandemic, they've chosen to start a conversation around the hashtag air hug. So they're showing compassion, and showing that they care. And they're starting a conversation as well, engaging their followers, and then adding to, this air hug hashtag. Um, I will give a kind of an experience at one of my previous positions. I worked for a small biotech company, and we were in a small town. And part of that was, we had to engage obviously with our clients. So we had professional kind of B2B engagement, but we also had a responsibility to the surrounding community. Um, and that was kind of a great opportunity for engagement. So like these kinds of posts, on the Instagram page, it was really important to, engage with other businesses in the community. Ask questions like this, post a picture and asking, "What do you think?" Or, starting a custom hashtag. That was really critical. Another seasonal example is the hashtag Red Cup contest that Starbucks does. So if you go on their Instagram page, they have their famous red cups that are out, around Christmas, um, which, kind of, to followers of Starbucks, it inspires them to post a picture of their coffee, and then, say what they're doing, or where they are, or, what they ordered, and then hashtag Red Cup contest to kind of generate this immense conversation and collection of pictures that can then, kind of just generate awareness around this movement, or this, this seasonal phenomenon that they do every year. The art of the hashtag. So I've talked a lot about hashtags, and maybe this slide was poorly placed later in the conversation, so I do apologize. But a hashtag is a word or a phrase preceded by, I call the number sign, hash sign, used on social media websites and applications to identify digital content on a specific topic. So like I said earlier, like I shared earlier, kind of the Red Cup contest, that identifies content tagged to this one hashtag, and then it enables cross-referencing of that content sharing that shares a certain subject or a theme. So examples, I just put random ones in there. If you post flowers or you go to a flower shop, hashtag florals, concerts, small business. So, a webinar like this, you may hashtag small business. Um, Within the coaching realm, empathy, hashtag coaching, hashtag score, hashtag mentoring. These are all things that are going to be associated with whatever content you put out. And it's kind of going to be thrown into this pool of other conversations that are happening around the same thing to help kind of, build this large collection of content and kind of expand the conversation. Get creative. So one of the things that small businesses do that I think is really cool is generate a custom hashtag. Um, I've been involved in a couple of those efforts, and I don't know if it's like when people do weddings and they do a custom hashtag for their wedding, um, to help generate a conversation around that, and then you have this pool of content that is tied to this one hashtag, and it just kind of makes it bigger and builds awareness around that. Always get creative. I think it is so fun when people do that and can take a small, initially small concept and make it into something pretty big. It's really incredible to watch. Um, the research number is no more than 7, because if you put, if you do a post on Instagram and you put 20 hashtags, that contain there's a thought that it could kind of look like spam, and you don't want to do that, right? And if you go through Instagram and you look at various posts that have like literally, 50 hashtags, it's kind of like, that's kind of content where I'm going, is this real? And this is a piece of data that I found that kind of shows, how likes kind of go down, because people kind of look at something and go, this seems kind of spammy. So no more than 7 is my point. Using your words. So this is really excited about this one, because I really like on Instagram when people create an image, that doesn't rely on visual media. Instagram, don't get me wrong, is fabulous for generating stunning images and sharing content in that way, but you can do just the same thing with words. So other uses include writing, poetry, general information distribution, newspapers, publications, and like I said earlier, social services, therapists, coaches, speakers. This is an example of a page that I actually personally follow. She's she's like an online therapist, I think. And she generated this word content, not knowing what's next is a great opportunity to be present right now. And she put her name under that, and she posts, dialogue as her post, and then gives that is an opportunity to engage with her followers and to connect. And as you can see, she racked up, almost 12,000 likes on that. People just seeing that and drawing inspiration from the content that she's posting. And as you can see, she did it in an attractive way. It's pretty cool looking what she did, but it's not stunning. It's just very simple, and it's just words. And I think you'd be surprised, with a product or a service or your offering, just using your words is going to connect with people very well. So in that same vein, storytelling. Now, particularly in small business, it is critical to connect with followers and to remain relatable. So I think most of us are acquainted with the concept of storytelling within the corporate space. So this is something that HR departments and speaking engagements and particularly marketing efforts are very focused on tapping into the human nature of being hardwired to connect and to tell stories. So how that can be used on Instagram is, if you do humanizing your brand. So if you do a success story or a people feature, or kind of something that's different from a product or service offering, that can be very impactful. Another thing can be Instagram stories. This kind of increases relatability and connection. If you remember on the Vancouver example that I showed, that tourism company, they had that pink and purple circle around their profile pic. If you press on that, that's going to be a very brief photo or video, or you can do surveys on stories. That's very cool. And this is an example here. So ask a question. Have you ever been to Paris? Yes or no? So your followers are going to see that, and they're going to interact with you, and they're going to vote. And that is, whether, or they're going to say whether they've been to Paris or not. That does two things. It engages, one, it gets them to see your content, and two, it gets them to do something. So one, you're doing what I said earlier, holding their attention, and two, there's some action that they need to do. And actually the concept of stories, I was trying to think why I put Snapchat, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So stories originated, with Snapchat. That was a form of, social media. And then Facebook and LinkedIn started doing stories as well, and Instagram, obviously as well. So this concept of being able to quickly connect with someone and to engage their attention for even just 5 seconds, that is very attractive to people wanting, to put their content out and to be seen and to build awareness. So that is something very cool that Instagram offers. So conversations around measuring success. When I talk about measuring success, I like to stress that, success is determined by you as a business owner, and asking those questions right at the beginning, checking in with yourself. What do I want to do? Grow sales? Do I want to build brand awareness? Do I want to just put myself out there and see what happens? That is, that's a very kind of personal thing. In terms of looking at your, if we're talking hard analytics and looking at your engagement and your likes and your comments and, other accounts you've interacted with, constantly review your strategy. So what has worked, and what could keep you from achieving, those goals, and then learn from those results and then make new ones, right? So you have these goals right at the beginning. I want to grow sales. I want to engage with someone. You build a strategy around that. You begin engaging and gaining followers, getting likes on your content, interacting, and then see how that measures up, with your specific measurable goal that you've set before. Compare with others. This is something that I stress. I think competitive intelligence is one of the smartest things anyone can do for a small business. Look at other accounts that are similar to what you offer. Certainly not the same, and you don't want to blatantly copy. Everyone's story and their offering is unique, and their brand should be no different. But there's only, certain strategies only deviate a certain amount of ways. So for you to go and look at, if you're a clothing brand and you look at another clothing brand, see what works, I think that's just good strategy. And then reach out and ask someone. I think you'll find that a lot of people are willing to talk to you about their business and to share what has worked for them and what hasn't worked. Having that conversation and being open to connecting and networking in that way, I think, is absolutely critical for when you go back and determine, how am I measuring success and how do I want to move forward in a productive way. Try again. Yes, that goes with what I'm saying. Know what success means for you and your business, and it is unique to everyone. As I said, I want to make sure I'm saying all my notes to you all. Don't want to leave anything out. Okay, social media marketing mix. So this is, like I said earlier, I wanted to kind of share my personal experience with working with Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn together. and how those can be different and how you maybe strategize a little differently reaching people where they live. So between these three, so one of my positions, I was involved with marketing for a small biotech organization. And in my mind, there were two audiences, like I kind of said earlier. So our more professional B2B clients, those were mostly on LinkedIn. And they were people that we wanted to siphon studies to, siphon new developments, new product, new instrumentation acquisition. Those were people where you're like, look what we can do for you and how we can work together and be a partner to enable your success. That was one market. The other market, though, that I felt like, some people kind of don't, you really just have to raise your awareness to the fact that you're in a community and you're there, your small business. This other market was the community, and engaging with them and having a positive presence within that realm. That was where Instagram and Facebook were a little more appropriate for that market. So Instagram, we could do stories, we could show pictures of our building, pictures of cool stuff, ask people questions, do polls on our Instagram stories, interact with other small businesses in the community on Instagram, comment on their content, endorse their services, things like that, where you go, okay, there are two. It was kind of a balancing act in segmentation, as I would always say. So you had professional audience, and then you had your kind of what I called the community audience. So my point is, how can these all work together? I think in really knowing who your product is serving, who your service is serving, is absolutely critical in moving forward with any Instagram strategy. And such was in my case, if you have two audiences, think critically about, who am I wanting to show this to? If you have, more B2B focus, or if you have a more community focus, or if it's both. That kind of goes back to it being kind of a personal decision, as far as, as a business owner, sitting down, checking in with yourself and seeing what you want to do, and then following through with that, and then trying again. So, questions and discussion. I'm looking at the time. We have a little, it's 12:38. We've got a little over 20 minutes, and I know I may have gone through that a little quick, but the intention of the talk was to be, kind of an overarching chunk of Instagram, and talk about key points and ways that, it can forward or move forward your strategy for small business. And I also wanted to share my experiences with Instagram. I'm by no means an expert. I've just used Instagram a lot. And I've used it for marketing efforts and for engaging with both communities and professional groups alike. And I just wanted to give kind of a big overview of all of that. And I do hope that has been helpful. At this time, I think we're going to maybe go through some questions. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a question right now up in the chat. It says,
I'm saying, anyone who's put that in there, I'm sorry if I haven't seen that yet.
yeah, no, that's the question just popped up. Advice for viewing more than 5 business accounts on your phone to check on the accounts.
I am so sorry. Can you say that again, Bill?
Yeah, it's from Jane, and it's advice for viewing more than 5 accounts on your phone to check on the accounts.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is there are 5. So there are 5 accounts, 5 separate Instagram accounts and she wants to know advice on checking all of those.
give that a try.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's okay. And forgive me if I get this wrong, but what I'm hearing is, there's 5 different accounts. You have a lot of things that you're managing, a lot of accounts that you're juggling. I think for me, I'm a huge time management person, and that's really funny because I'm not very good at time management. Every day is like a struggle, right? So, but I think if you have 5 different accounts that you want to remain engaged with, and you want to, you know, do all those things that I was discussing, and maintaining an image, I think blocking time to spend time just on one at a time. So if you have 5, maybe in the morning from 8 to 8:30, it's like, okay, this one account, I focus on that. And then you find another block of time, during the week or during the day that you go, okay, I'm going to focus on this. So I think, and I hope I'm understanding this right, but if you have 5, that you're checking on your phone at once, I think time management's going to be critical, and just kind of, being disciplined, and being able to block times to spend on those.
There's another sort of related question. It says Instagram limits you to 5, but what
Oh,
if you want more? How do you do it?
so you know what? That's new information for me. I didn't know that Instagram limited you to 5. If you want
Yeah.
more, Instagram limits you to 5.
Maybe we
Um,
could follow up
you know
on that
what?
one
You know
afterwards.
what? I do apologize, but I'll write that down, and I will follow up. And again, everyone asking questions, if you ask something and I don't know, I will take the time to figure it out, and we'll get that answer to you.
Then there's, and I would have asked this question myself. Okay, you build an Instagram account. It's like you build it and they will come, but how do they find you? How does that list of followers grow?
So that's a very good question. So it's important. So as a business account, I think you're public by default. I'm not sure, but you want to make sure that you're public so that people can find you. I think the easiest way to get started is to, kind of start posting that content, whatever that content looks like for you. So if you have a product and you're posting a picture of a product, or if you are an artist and you want to post, if you're a poet or a writer, you post a snippet of your work on there, and then you write a caption, and then organically, you're probably going to get some followers, maybe some people that probably are going to initially, just to support you, are going to start out in that. One of the I am such an advocate of engagement. So going through, following other similar accounts, liking their content, commenting on their content, and just remaining plugged in. Because again, I think, I like to persuade people away from the idea of, you're just going to gain followers organically. That may happen for some, but for most people, you're really going to have to you're going to have to kind of search and interact with people so that they know that you're there. I hope that answers the question.
There's another question from Vanessa. She wants to know if you just, from a marketing point of view, say something about how you might try to distinguish yourself in a space that's very crowded. So, I mean, there's 1,000 flower shops and
Mhm.
coffee shops, and you name it. Um, any tips on what you can do to distinguish yourself besides getting on Instagram in the first place? Because
Yeah.
they're all there already, all the competitors.
Yes. So if you're in a market that is very saturated, like a coffee shop, or, um, I mean, and this goes to what I was saying earlier, Bill. So it's a very kind of personal decision for you as a business owner, going, what is my differentiator? And you have to sit down and think, what is particularly special about my offering that everyone else doesn't necessarily, what am I offering that's distinct? And in terms of a coffee shop, let's say Gosh, I'm just giving an example here. Maybe you're a small coffee shop that, brews their own coffee and, sources from a special place or whatever, and you give people that kind of cozy hometown feel. That can be a differentiator. You can go, we're not like Starbucks, we're not mass produced, we're not, you know, giving that feeling. So I think focusing on that's a hard question because it's just
Yeah.
so different for each person.
Well, it's a fundamental marketing question, not just Instagram.
Yeah, no, and that's what I mean. Not just Instagram. You just need to really sit down and check in with yourself and ask other people. Get feedback from others, either people or people in the industry, going, "What do you think is distinct about my offering?" And then use that as your value proposition moving forward. And not, like we said, not just with Instagram, but with other efforts as well.
Okay. We'll keep rolling here, even though we have a lot of time. We have a lot of questions. So,
Oh, good. That's great.
Randy says, I may have missed this, but how does one see a business on Instagram? If a business makes a post on Instagram, how do these not connected to the business see the post? So I think the real question is maybe Randy doesn't have an Instagram account. If he had an Instagram account, how does he see stuff that's going on Instagram? How does it get into a flow?
So you can see stuff if you're not on Instagram. It limits your view because they, obviously they want you to join and make an account. You can kind of look down on an Instagram account through the first maybe 10 or so pictures, and then it stops you. I think Twitter does the same thing, but really, the key to that is just joining Instagram. And then, because here's the thing, if you're a business on Instagram, you're engaging and interacting with other Instagram users. That's the whole, that's the whole point of being on there. So I think, to see other businesses on there, you're going to have to just be on there and take a look at their content and see how that relates to you.
Okay. Pete wants you to just go over one more time a little bit about high level, the difference between Facebook and Instagram.
Sure. So Facebook, the main thing that I say the difference between Facebook and Instagram, Facebook is when you do a post, you can post photos and Facebook is mostly like words, and you can post photos if you want, but when you go to make a post on Facebook, it's just kind of words. And then you can, have like a photo album or post a photo or, that sort of thing. The difference between Facebook and Instagram is primarily for visual content. So every post that you see, actually, you know what? I think it would help. I'm going to pull up Instagram on my phone right now. And just so if I scroll through Instagram here, it's all visual. It's just pictures. And this is on Facebook, you don't get that same effect. If you scroll through on Facebook, it's a lot of mostly words and posts and things people have shared. And in some ways they are similar, but Instagram is definitely more visual. They're blocks of pictures.
All right. A question from Anne. She says she's trying to build her Instagram in such a way that the objective is to lead people to her blog. And what would you suggest is in terms of how to strategically do that? Since she basically, her content is her blog. She's not posting pictures and all of that.
Okay. So that's a great question. Actually, gosh, I wish I had posted an example of, I had an example of an account that had a blog attached to it. And when you have a blog, and it was an account that was similar to the online therapist that I had posted. It was very brief words in each block, and those were her posts. But in her bio, she had the link to her blog, and she said, read my blog here. So right in your bio, if you have an engaging, that first page, your profile picture, who you are, what your offering is, and then you say, see my blog here, or read my blog here. Additionally, I would encourage, maybe have a post, a simple post. Again, not every post has to be totally artistic, but maybe you put a snippet of words from your blog, and then you put read more here, and then have the link in there. That would also help as well to promote a blog.
Okay, Randy came back to clarify. He does have an account with Instagram, and he posts it. But he's just wondering, how does my post show up in front of someone else who doesn't know I even exist?
Well, so the first question I would ask is his profile private? If it is, then no one's going to see it except his followers, people who follow you. And so I would suggest, making it public. Secondly, I would ask, how is he engaging with other followers? To be found, so to speak. Thirdly, yeah, actually, I think those are my two. Make sure you're public, and two, be engaging with other followers, and three, generate content, of course, and put it out there, and then, use hashtags, we talked about in this presentation, and that's the thing with Instagram. I'd have to see it. That's the thing too. You have to see it right in front of me to go, oh, well, you could do this, or make suggestions that way. I hope that helps, Randy.
So with the hashtags, if you put a hashtag there, that post that you made to Instagram adds to the other posts that are made to that same hashtag, right?
Yeah. So if you were this is a feature that I didn't talk about. If you go in the search bar to search for an Instagram account, you can actually search hashtags. So for instance, if I wanted to see all those Starbucks red cups, I would go red cup contest in hashtag, and it would show me the most, and it usually starts with like the most, the ones that have the most likes, they show you those first, but it's going to show me all of those. And in clicking on each of those, or in, touching each of those and bringing them up, that's going to expose me to another account that I've never seen before. But it's someone who, is public and who has used that hashtag. And I might look at their stuff and go, oh, they're cool. They're a neat small business, or I like this person's content, or whatever, which will then inspire me to follow them. So it's that what I was talking about earlier, doing something, engagement is all about holding someone's attention and then getting me to do something.
So if you wanted to get in front of people who are interested in the Indy 500 for one reason or another, and you went to hashtag Indy 500 and posted something, now your post is going to land in everybody else who's watching hashtag Indy 500?
Well, I mean, it would be put into that pool, like you're kind of associating yourself with this hashtag, and then you would be searchable. Now, I don't know how high up you would be on that, because a lot of people would have to engage with your content and like your stuff, but that comes with building awareness. It's all kind of this circuitous cycle, this kind of cyclical thing.
Do you suggest managing your followers in any way, like actually removing some followers?
So I think that that's going to be different for everyone. There are a ton of things that people might run into, are spam, fake accounts. That might, and I think Instagram does a good job of, I think Instagram does a good job of kind of filtering those. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's going to depend on just your account as a whole. I mean, the short answer is yes. I mean, you should manage your followers and who you're allowing, on your stuff. Um, but that's going to look different for everyone, I think.
Okay. Says a lot of really great photos are on Instagram, but what if you're not a good photographer? Does Instagram have any use for you?
So Instagram, and I'm sorry I didn't talk about this. I think we kind of just went through the high levels, the bird's eye view, but you can post if you're not a good photographer. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Certainly you can, if you know someone who's a good photographer who maybe would take good pictures for you, that's the ideal. But if it's just you, that's totally fine too. They have Instagram, you can post a picture and then you can filter it, and you can, kind of doctor up your picture to make it look nice. That is a feature that they have. And some highbrow photographers would tell you that their filters aren't very good. I think they're just fine for a variety of uses. It depends on what you're doing, of course, but I think when you're just getting started and putting your content out there, I think they're just fine. So there is an opportunity for to not just post a picture that you don't like. I think there are opportunities to make it look nicer.
Um, Someone asked, do you have an Instagram account?
I have my personal Instagram account, yes. And for me, it's just, it's not, I don't manage a business account anymore, but for me, I have one. It's private though. This kind of helps me to manage, again, like we discussed, manage followers and my content's not that interesting, right? It's just, I like I like plants and nature, and it's not very engaging stuff, but it's mine and I like it, and it allows me to see other Instagram. I follow brands and coffee shops and stores and my friend, people, and so that's how I stay connected and can interact in that way.
Okay, so here's the last question. So we land right on 1 o'clock when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Target audiences. You mentioned this before, but could you maybe go over a little bit again? Is there a difference where you'll find your audience in Facebook versus Instagram? Is there any difference whatsoever? And also, what can you do to get smarter about who your target audience is and should be?
So the first question, is there that difference between, who's on Facebook and who is on Instagram? The short answer is, I mean, it's kind of yes and no. I think most businesses, they start out and they go, I need a Facebook and maybe an Instagram. But the truth is, Instagram is kind of where the more newer businesses, and I would say certainly, like I said earlier, the research now, it's kind of a younger demographic who's on Instagram. So my recommendation would be, Instagram first, Facebook kind of second, to just keep aligned with those markets, to across those markets, both the younger and maybe the older market as well. What was the second question? I'm sorry.
Let me see. Best way to just figure out who your target audience is.
That's right.
1 minute to answer.
I think just ask, think about your offering. And again, this goes back to, as a business owner, checking in with yourself and being like, who wants my product and my service? Networking with other professionals, looking at other people's content, asking people close to you who have worked with you before, getting those opinions, and thinking, for yourself too, think about who's going to like this, who's going to want, this product, and then doing that on top of, just market research, is gonna serve you pretty well. And I know that we SCORE offers those resources as well, through the library and stuff, getting, tapping into, exactly who you're marketing. But I think first off, just asking around, comparing yourself to other people, competitive intelligence, seeing, who they serve and if that lines up with who you want to serve.
Okay, we're going to stop here.
Okay.
Garrett, thanks. For those of you who've come to other webinars, many of the people who've presented them actually have businesses going that parallel what they're talking about. Garrett is not selling anything. He's employed inside of a company that main business is not social media, but he's a SCORE mentor. If you'd like to communicate with him, he's got his email address there. And that's it. 101. I think we need to say goodbye and thank everybody for coming. Appreciate you attending.
Thank you so much. Yes, and feel free to email me or connect with me on LinkedIn or whichever. I'm always open to answering questions. So I appreciate everyone's time.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.